Now, back to Talkin' Muskegon on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
And it's currently 61 degrees along the lakeshore, only going up to a high 64 today along the lakeshore. So it's starting to feel a little effects of the fall season, and soon leaves will be coming down, but we've got some high wind advisories also for today.
So you don't want to be on the big lake today, unless you're in one of the big ships that traverse the oceans, or at least our inland oceans.
But kind of the unique thing this time of year, when the winds of November turn early, of things. I think there was a song written about that. And their ships do come into Muskegon Lake for safe harbor. You hear my segue? Coming up here.
I started the
occasionally
segue.
you see when they're actually talking about 12 to 16 to 18 footers on Lake Michigan today. And so, and I've been out sailing in that a couple of times. Not real pretty, and even the big freighters do not particularly care for those kind of conditions. And they'll come into Muskegon Lake to safe harbor, drop anchor, sit out the storm occasionally. And we just happen to have in the studio with us Max McKee. Max, title-wise, I should have asked you this before we go on. You're president of Sand Products?
Well,
the companies at West Michigan Dock.
CEO of Sand Products, but our subsidiary is West Michigan Dock and Market, and I'm the president of West Michigan Dock and Market, also known as the MART.
At Mart Dock in downtown Muskegon. So I'd like that for a segue. Bring ships into our port
safely, and without benefit of any kind of public financing.
There you go, and obviously the home of the LST, the Port City Princess, in downtown Muskegon, and pretty much anytime you go into an event at Heritage Landing, place to park.
Absolutely,
in downtown Muskegon.
That's right.
And as a kid going down there, and actually, I don't know if you knew this about my history, but played in a rock and roll band back in the 60s, and we did the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday crossings on the Milwaukee Clipper. The year of 1966 and 67.
Wow!
And played in the bar, in the Horseshoe Bar upstairs.
Yeah. Neat stuff.
And actually had to attach. We had this little gizmo that we brought our amplifiers in there and hunkered them down so they wouldn't move.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
Did a lot of crossings on that old gal.
Yeah.
And just a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people, and there was a couple of fun summers of going back and forth to Milwaukee and coming down to the Mart Dock, and the people who worked on those boats, and everybody that were down at the Mart. I remember it as one of the most pleasant experiences of my life, is spending a lot of time down at that Mart Dock, and coming in right behind the Highway 16. And
well, the Mart Dock has been in business, or at least in that location, perhaps under different names, I don't know, but for 70, 80 years, you have been a mainstay in Muskegon County. And the reason that we've asked you to come in this morning is because there is it's a political day with the big debates tonight,
Sure, yep.
but there are other levels of politics going on. And there's something that has been touted certainly by M Live and Representative Holly Hughes that will really be fantastic for Muskegon County, and perhaps West Michigan in general, which is this expansion of the Muskegon Port Authority, and a bill that is being kind of rushed through. Actually, very few people are aware of this, but a bill that Holly Hughes had sponsored and is apparently the main driver on, which will, among other things, will guarantee that the Consumers Energy site, for perhaps perpetuity, will remain an industrial site in the corner of Muskegon Lake, rather than be having a community conversation, a discussion over what it might be doing. It will take her bill will allow. It doesn't actually authorize at this point, but it will allow state, federal, and perhaps county, and who knows, even maybe Muskegon City funds to go into the Port Authority, which will be situated where Consumers Energy currently is, and develop that as an industrial site, and to repair, I suppose, or perhaps even expand and perhaps even build new dock facilities on Muskegon Lake. A lot of people kind of look quickly when they say, wait a minute, this is going to be kept as an industrial site forever, and very few people have really heard this. I'm seeing in studio there's some faces here that are not aware of that, but that's one facet of it. And we've got Max here, who's actually would be in competition, or the new spending and the new development would be in competition with the Mart Dock, and the Verplank organization also has another dock too. But the goal here is to bring in more shipping into Muskegon Lake, and that's a very worthy goal. So what's your problem here, pal?
First off, I appreciate you guys offering another news outlet for Muskegon, and I think it's important to support 1090. At any rate, Jim, it's funny. You said it best a little bit ago. It's as if you had an airport and there weren't many planes coming into the airport, so you build another airport. Is that going to bring them in? And it's the same thing here. We've got our facility, which is underutilized. We have plenty of capacity. We have the capability. There isn't a ship that could come into the Great Lakes that we can't handle, and there basically isn't a day a ship could come into the Great Lakes that we can't handle. We've had we've had less than 20 ships per year, or less than 20 ships over the last 20 years. Commercial.
That's 20 ships a year?
No. Averaging less than one ship per year, commercial ship, cargo ship per year.
Aside from the coal ships and things of that sort.
Aside from the aggregates.
Yeah.
The type of stuff that Holly wants to bring to Muskegon.
Which would be, so in other words, some of the discussion that has gone on, because this Port Authority has gone with a relatively low profile for some years, talking about bringing, as you suggested, cargo ships either in to drop things off or coming here to pick things up, like, who knows, apples or trucks or manufactured goods of some sort, and then take them up through around the Mackinac and all the way around. And so that's the argument. And the argument as posted so far has been that if we create new dock capacity, additional dock capacity, that more ships will come here and either drop things off or
they made a movie about that. It was called Field of Dreams.
Well, the question I have had, and I've read there. MLive actually, I think, has done a pretty good job in terms of writing about this. There was a pretty extensive article on Fox 17, and I believe both you and Holly were interviewed for that, and that was on TV last week. But in none of my research do I see any particular thing that would specifically induce or increase the number of ships. For instance, if you build a new dock, it's not like there's a shortage of places, as you had just said, for them to come in. Verplank's and yours could handle virtually a significant increase, even as they stand. Are you aware of any inducement that would bring a shipping company to come here and pick stuff up or to drop things off?
No, I'm not. Chicago's set up nicely for that, and in fact, the Chicago docks, some of them are shuttered right now. It's pretty slow even there. But if you think about it, any cargo ship coming in through the St. Lawrence Seaway, if they're going to go anywhere, Cleveland, possibly Detroit, Monroe, but for them to come all the way around the Mitten, all the way to Muskegon, what are they going to service? Maybe Grand Rapids? And is there really that much product in Grand Rapids? Muskegon isn't what it used to be. Holly was quoted as saying that she wants to bring shipping back like before she was born. Well, that was the 50s. And things have changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it was before the interstate system.
Things have changed quite a bit since then. Muskegon was industrial back then.
Well, it was industrial back then, and plus, I grew up, Max, with going down by the Mart. My dad had a drugstore in downtown Muskegon, the old Arcade Pharmacy down there where the transit system stopped. And I remember walking down by the Mart Dock, and that parking lot would be full of brand new cars. Brand new cars being made in Detroit area, shipped over here, waiting to be in transit to go to Milwaukee and then to points to the west. And that was because the interstate system hadn't developed and there wasn't car carriers. The rail system was limited. There was a pretty well-developed rail system, but it was still, it probably was at that point in time for the auto industry a lot cheaper to send them over to Muskegon, send them, and that transportation link to Milwaukee, where there was car ferries, but there were a lot of cars shipped on what is now the LST 393. It was the Highway 16 at that point in time, and on the Milwaukee Clipper. There were cars being transited over to Milwaukee and then sent to Minneapolis and North and South Dakota from there. And that made sense for the auto manufacturers to do that. Well, here comes Dwight David Eisenhower back in the 50s and developed an interstate highway system that kind of took away a lot of that need for shipping out of Muskegon. And so, a little bit of the history, Corey. There was a tremendous amount of shipping that was going on here at that point in time. But when the interstate system was built, it kind of took away from that. And then also money was put into airports and other kinds of fast shipping has taken the place of a lot of stuff. I remember, for a while there was a big need to ship out of here fruits and vegetables that were grown, and cherry crop and those kinds of things but that's kind of gone by the wayside.
But if there were interest in shipping vehicles or cherries or you name it, if there was interest in any entity in utilizing empty docks, or at least available docks that we have, and ships that are available, they would be doing it already. I have not been able to discern, and we'll probably, hopefully we'll get Holly on sometime maybe later this week to come up with what it would be that would induce them to ship from another dock that would be heavily subsidized with tax money. And for those of you who have driven around Michigan lately, our roads could use a little money. Is there a rationale out there to divert significant public funds into a competitor? Actually, there's another aspect to this. A direct competitor to two companies who have been paying taxes, employing people for decades and decades. But we've got a break coming up.
We do. We need to take a break on news, WZZM news break at the bottom of the hour. I'm actually going to hang in here with us because a very important issue, because it has a lot to do with the future of our waterfront.
And it's
Muskegon.
Being rushed through as we speak.
And I guess I don't hear any of the Save Our Shoreline people coming to bat here. Where are they? But anyway, we're going to take a news break at the bottom of the hour, and we'll be back with Max McKee.
You're listening to News Talk 1090, WKBZ.